Basically, we have named it PharmaGuard, Navigating Counterfeiting Challenges in Pharmaceutical Supply Chains. I am Alvin Samuel, and I'm delighted today to be the moderator for this very important webinar which we are conducting. This webinar is organized by Texai Research in collaboration with Authentication Solution Providers Association, more known as Aspa. So, to give you a little gist about Texai Research, Texai Research is a global market research and consulting company offering actionable insights to help business achieve sustainable growth. Uh, this is a short brief about us. Would like to even let you people know about Aspa, so everybody is aware of what Aspa is all about. So start. Right. Uh, Let us show you a small backdrop of what Aspa is all about.
Aspa. For 25 years, the Authentication Solution Providers Association has been at the forefront of the battle against counterfeiting. Established in 1998, Aspa has dedicated itself to four core pillars: awareness, advocacy, research, and innovation. It is working to build up the authentication ecosystem and environment in the country against the counterfeiting activity and illicit economy. Through relentless awareness campaigns, strategic industry partnerships, groundbreaking research, and continuous innovation, at Aspa, we've been steadfast in our commitment to combating counterfeiting, ensuring product safety, and protecting consumers worldwide. Join us as we celebrate 25 years of progress, leadership, and dedication to a counterfeit-free future. Aspa, leading the way in authentication and traceability solutions. Together, we create a world of trust and security.
Great. So all of you are now aware of Texai and Aspa. Let's come to the main topic. All of us have gone through the COVID period, and we all understand how important are pharmaceutical drugs for our day-to-day care also and day-to-day health also. Imagine where counterfeiting poses a huge challenge and threat to public health, safety, and trust. We got to ensure that not only are we taking this out of the way, but we are ensuring that whatever is going to the end consumer or the patients is something which is without any kind of counterfeiting, because that can pose a serious threat to our health also. Counterfeit pharmaceuticals not only undermine the efforts of healthcare professionals, but also endanger the lives of countless patients globally. Today, we are privileged to have an esteemed panel of experts who will share their insights, experiences, and innovative strategies to combat this growing menace. Our speakers will delve into the current landscape of pharmaceutical counterfeiting, explore advanced detection and prevention technologies, and discuss the collaborative efforts required across the supply chain to ensure the delivery of safe and authentic medications. But before we dive into the question and answer sessions, uh, I would like to introduce the esteemed panelists for today's session. So, without taking too much of time, I would like to introduce to you first Mr. Jijo Raju, Assistant Vice President, Alchem Laboratories. Jijo is an experienced marketing manager with a demonstrated history of working in the pharmaceutical industry. Skilled in marketing management, pharmaceutics, market planning, business planning, and generic programming. He is a strong marketing professional with an MDB focused on innovation and leadership from IIM Bangalore. So we welcome Jijo for this session. The
Thank
Sure, welcome. The second panelist, let me introduce to you Mr. Prashant Kumar Gupta, Vice President and Chief Business Officer, Shriram Veritech Solutions. Mr. Prashant is highly dynamic and experienced professional, and I am passed out with an impressive track record spanning over 28 years. He specializes in strategy planning, business development, distribution management, and product promotions. And let me welcome the third panelist, Mr. Manoj Kochar. He is the president of Aspa. He is also current IHMA board member and also serving on the governing body of India Institute of Packaging. Manoj is also the director and co-founder of Kolkata-based company Holoflex Limited. Holoflex is a leading provider of authentication solutions in India and the wider international market, developing and deploying customized anti-counterfeiting and brand protection solutions for more than 30 years. So I welcome all the three panelists for today's discussion. I'm sure with your insights and your answers to the questions I'll be asking you people, the general populace is definitely going to benefit, and we'll all have to come and work together to ensure that counterfeiting does not pose a huge challenge for us, because like I said, one more huge mishap in the pharmaceutical industry can impact the whole nation or the whole world in general. So let me start by asking the questions to Mr. Jijo. So Jijo, from your perspective, what do pharmaceutical manufacturers and brand owners face in terms of counterfeiting challenges as of today?
Okay. So, thanks, Alvin, for giving this opportunity to answer these questions and be on the forum. Uh, First of all, the challenge, or what are the challenges with respect to the counterfeit? First is, surely you said in the beginning itself, the public health. When you look at, uh, if you're taking a counterfeit medicine, the challenge is the efficacy is not there. You don't know whether the active pharmaceutical ingredient exists or not. You don't know the ingredients which are used, what are the side effects. So overall, huge impact on the public health. And typically in India, where still, when I look at the Indian market, it is majorly a market which is where people are taking medicines for management of their infection and acute problem. Acute market is very big. In such cases, without prescription, when they go buy the medicine or buy a big brand which is a counterfeit from the chemist, surely it's a big threat to the public health. Parallelly, another thing which happens for companies like Alchem, or previously where I worked in Cipla, the problem is the damage to the big brands. The counterfeit particularly happens in the bigger brands, the brands which have crossed a 50 crore, 100 crore mark and which have huge consumer base. The problem is when a patient takes that and there's no efficacy around that, there's a question on the trust that they don't understand. People don't understand that medicine can be counterfeited. They with trust take it from a chemist counter, and when it don't work, it impacts the trust, or the brand equity comes down, which in and you're losing that patient for lifelong. He will never take that medicine again. That's the second thing, which from the company point of view, which is impacting the pharmaceutical company. Another thing, when you look at when a patient look in India, it's not easy. We parallelly people for acute problem or chronic problem take allopathic medicine. If the market have good amount of counterfeit and patient feels that this is not working, the trust on allopathy also goes down. He goes back to uh, the Ayurveda and the alternate channel where he feels that's much more beneficial. So counterfeit indirectly also have that effect. And uh, another effect which I see is if it is a counterfeit and it's not giving really effect to the patient, there is no adherence. He leaves that treatment itself. He will never come back to what the doctor have said. So in short, when I summarize all of this, you're losing a patient for lifetime because of a counterfeit. It have a bigger challenge from the company point of view. And when you lose a patient, and it's not one, this counterfeit is a big industry. You To the company, and the challenge because of the counterfeit is the economics, which it the overall when you lose means if 5% 6% of drugs get counterfeit in different part of the country, it overall the money which is going to come, which we the company uses for research development, that gets impacted. So it's not only having counterfeit is not a small issue. It impacts the public health. It impacts overall the the patient and his trust on the brand and his trust on the treatment which the doctor have given. He moves to some alternate forms, and parallelly, if counterfeit is not there, if the money is the channels are moving correctly, the same amount of money can be used for betterment, developing better formulation, developing better newer therapies which will help patients lead a better life. Another thing, so I feel these are two or three problems because of which are impacting overall the ecosystem of pharmaceutical company when counterfeiting is happening.
So, Jijo, how is your company dealing with the issues currently?
Okay. So today, when you look at when I look at, I'll not only talk about company, but I've been in pharma for around 17, 18 years. So uh, it's not as pharmaceutical what how we are managing. One thing which we are making sure that the packs, particularly for the bigger brands where the chances of counterfeit is high, use hologram as a technology, or use on the pack you have holograms with which patient can differentiate. That's the primary thing which many companies are inculcating, tamper-proof packs, because of which the counterfeit can be prevented. Another thing which we are trying to do is collaborate with the regulatory and enforcement people to make sure that wherever this is high, find out who are doing it and make sure that that is stopped. So you will find regularly news of raid by local FD authorities to where the counterfeit is happening and find out the source where it is happening. So partnering with the enforcement agencies. And parallelly, the last thing, or I think so, prima facie, one more thing which every pharma company is doing is educating the patient, educating the channel, that is the chemist and doctors, about counterfeit. Because until you educate, because we cannot be in touch with everyone. So educating the doctor, patient, the pharmacist about counterfeit helps us to make sure we are overcoming. So we're using technology, we're using the law enforcement, and parallelly education as a tool to make sure we are uh, tackling this problem. So that's in a nutshell what we do today.
So, Jijo, collaborating with anti-counterfeit solution providers and organizations like Aspa coming together, what role do you see these people playing in the general help to ensure that this does not happen?
Very important thing, because there are, look, it's not that pharma is not collaborating. I know companies who are doing or have started doing, particularly in the in many categories where if counterfeit is there, there is serious threatening issues for the patient. But to be very precise on your question, first of all, when you talk about collaborating, look, first thing for pharma would be we get access to what is happening in that world. With companies like Aspa, we come to know what is happening, how we can manage counterfeit. That's the first thing which comes on table. Second, we can develop newer technologies to make sure it's not only hologram. Beyond hologram, what can happen beyond tamper proof? How can we make sure the packaging is more robust, so that the counterfeiting can be prevented? Because it's majorly, when I look at counterfeiting, is not only the tablets look very similar, but parallelly the packaging, how we can make sure with barcode, with newer technologies, how we can make sure that uh, the counterfeiting can be stopped. Parallelly, look, in India, another thing what Aspa or agencies can do with pharma is Pharma, look, there are products which we are selling at 2 rupees to a product which is sold at 2000 rupees. So, and counterfeit happens. So, example in Alchem, one of the biggest brands for us is Pantaprazole, which are very economical brand. And similarly, we sell biosimilars also. But when Pantaprazole, which is one of Pan, which is one of our biggest brands, uh, the counterfeiting solution have to be in our budget, because if a strip will cost you not more than 200 bucks, we cannot really invest high to make sure the counterfeiting is stopped. You need to have economical or tailored solutions for pharma. So that's where I feel agencies like Aspa comes in, bring technology, bring solutions which can be tailored and help, which will help pharma to make sure that we implement these things in the Indian market to solve the counterfeiting problem. Sorry.
In fact, Jijo, I was recently reading an article and came across an article where they said that counterfeiters have also upped their
Yeah.
ante and they have become more smart and tech savvy.
You
So,
won't
what
believe
is
it. Very right, very right. We are finding that, look, because Indian supply chain is not very robust. So the vendor who makes a hologram pack for X company, he would make for X, Y, Z, and ABC company. So a counterfeit guy can easily go to him and make sure he gets his pack done from there. So the churn about, so that's why. So even it's a very obvious thing which can happen.
so? How are you staying ahead of the threat? I mean, are you doing something to always keep one step ahead of the counterfeiters?
So, as I told you, so right now we have limited solutions to make sure that how we address this. I really don't see that there in India the counterfeiting industry is much ahead of the pharmaceutical industry, but they're just copying what the pharmaceutical companies are doing to counterfeit. Uh, the whole idea is, but can with technologies or can with partnership with agencies like Aspa, we bring in technology or bring in solutions which cannot be easily copied. I think so. That's the only way to make sure we win this battle.
Great, great. I would like to ask some questions now to Prashant. Uh, we just heard what Jijo was saying. Now, I would like to know from you is can you just give us an overview on the anti-counterfeiting solutions with regards to the pharmaceutical sector? So, if you can just give a general overview.
Thanks, Alvin. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, and now you're audible.
Yeah. Thanks, Jijo. Thanks for taking us through the pharmaceutical industry's perspective on how the counterfeit is impacting the bottom and top line of the industry. Besides, in general, the overall health of the society. Not only the society, but now society is basically the economics of the country can also go haywire if such counterfeits, because counterfeits is not specific to pharma, they are almost in every industry segment. You rightly said that they go after the big brands. Yes, you're right, very very true on that part. Now coming back to that, what kind of solutions or what kind of technologies which can help pharmaceutical industry in terms of fighting this menace of counterfeiting. There are many. So basically the focus has to be on end to end solution when you talk about securing your brand or securing your business interest, because one thing here, one thing there may not help you in a in totality when you look at the overall picture of protecting your interest and the brand. So when we talk about technologies, yes, there are technologies which are available in the world market where you can protect your primary pack. You can have the primary pack, which is your sellable unit, through technologies like nano optic OVDs. You can also have a verification mechanism for them with an encrypted QR code on printed onto these nano optic OVDs, which actually protects your sellable unit, which is basically from where you get your profits, exactly the profits from. Besides that, the health of the consumer or the patient also comes through the sellable unit. Not now comes another big question, that how this sellable unit reaches out to the chemist or the end point of sale, because supply chain is a big issue in any industry segment including pharma. So how you're going to protect the supply chain where the spurious should not get into your supply chain, and the same thing gets sold from the same counter from where you are selling your own products. So that is also one of the areas where you have to pharmaceutical industry have to focus very intrinsically and extensively, that it has to protect the supply chain right from the primary to the secondary to the tertiary to the warehouse management, then the movement of the goods within the supply chain till it reaches the end consumer, which is the patient. So once this actually takes place, right from the protection of the primary pack through a very sound technology, within affordability, within the reach, you rightly said the affordability is one of the bigger challenges in country like India, where there's a lot of control on prices by the government. There are many, there are many things which actually affects the profitability of pharmaceutical industry. Of late there are many controls being uh, you know uh, being uh, 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 mandated by the government of India on the prices. So affordability, technologically sound solution, having the supply chain protected with end-to-end track and traceability solution will definitely going to help the end customer as well as the brand alike. So primarily when we talk about you talk about trust deficit in the patient when the medicine doesn't work, obviously there's a trust deficit and they lose trust on the brand or on the company who's manufacturing the product. So when you protect the primary pack, half of the job is done, but 50% of it is actually by protecting the supply chain through an effective track and trace solution, and then having the right solution for pilferage kind of issue where your spurious drugs should not enter into your supply chain. So you have to protect the even the transportation packs with anti-pilferage solutions, and that is how you ensure that it reaches in intact form to the end consumer or the patient of your medicine or the brand. So there are many technologies which we can work upon, and we are already working. We are already working with many top pharma companies in the world market today, and there are many case studies which maybe we can discuss. We can share on another forum. But yes, there are solutions available for it. Thank you.
So, Prashant, one more aspect. One is the supply chain. Can you throw a little light on how can we integrate technology during packaging itself?
So, yeah, thank you. So, integrating these technologies with the packaging is also one of the major aspect which actually pharmaceutical industry always look forward to companies like us or the organizations like Aspa to help them out in designing the pack or how this can be integrated onto the primaries. And there are many ways you can apply this technology onto the pack. You can integrate the technology with the pack. There are many ways and means of achieving it. Maybe I am not sure whether this is a forum where we can discuss in length, but yes, there are ways and means of integrating these technologies with your uh, sellable units or the primary or the secondary or the tertiary level packs. Yes, there are ways and means of doing it. Like for example, you can have a nano optic OVD hot stamped on your cartons. You can also have it applied onto your unit cartons, or can be integrated with your product label, or can be used as a sealing device which protects the primary pack of yours. So there are many ways of doing it. Maybe another forum will be the app way, but yes, we do have a lot of solutions to it. Yeah.
Any quick example that you can give in terms of, where technology or any kind of solution helped, counterfeit threat?
See, basically, okay, I may not name the brand or the company, but yes, we have been working with many top ones. So there was a typical issue of pilferage in that particular industry, and it's a personal care industry. I would call it as a personal care in a OTC kind of a domain. So we worked with them. Typically, what we have done as a solution, we have given them a tamper evident, very strong featured tamper evident sealing label, you can say, integrated with a encrypted QR code applied onto each and every pack, and then mapping the batch information with the QR code, so that when the consumer scans the code, they don't only get the authentication message, but they also get the information about the batch details of that particular pack. So this creates more confidence in the consumer when they see the batch information which is printed onto the sellable unit or the primary pack is matching with the response which they are getting onto the mobile screen of theirs. So see, it's about now how it is going to deter the counterfeits, because the batch information itself is very, very closely held information by the brand. It is not readily available in the world market or in the open market. So when the consumer scans the QR code and finds the same batch information which is printed onto the carton, the the mapping of this information gives him lot of confidence that yes, they are buying a genuine product. And on top of it, this QR code or the encrypted QR code is delivered on a tamper evident nano optic OVD, which cannot be copied. So there is a marriage or the complement. These technologies complement each other. The physical form of security, the strongest which can be adopted or adapted to, and then the digital form of security which gets integrated with this and giving the required information to the consumer, not only a vanilla message saying yes, I am authentic, but also corroborating the information which is there on the pack with the message which the other guy is getting, will actually give them the confidence, yes, what they are buying is true. So this is one of the case studies which we have done, and further up, this is also used for track and trace solution, by have this parent-child relationship built in within their packaging hierarchy, and then tracking the shipper units within the supply chain till they reaches the the retailer or the distributor, and then ultimately to the consumer. So yes, this is one of the case studies which I could share. Thank you.
So, so Prashant, as a solution provider, uh, what challenges are you facing when in your battle with the counterfeit guys? Because counterfeit people are also increasing advanced technology. So, what kind of challenges are you facing, and how are you trying to navigate or overcome these challenges?
See, first of all, here I would like to bring this very emphasize on one very important point is organizations like IHMA, organizations like Aspa. Uh, we are a very closely knitted organizations. When we say closely knitted, means the serious players of the industry, the genuine players of the industry, they are the members of these organizations. First of all, now it is actually, and then the technology which is the innovation, I would call it as an innovation is only with limited people in the world market, and that too with the genuine players. The problem comes when the industry, our industry or the brand owners, they don't evolve their packing or their packaging or the counterfeit solutions with time. So, see what counterfeit does. They only go after the lowest hanging fruit, not only in terms of the brands which are there in the market, but also to the technologies which is available for copying. You know, so if we have to win this, I would call it as a war. If we want to win this war, then obviously our technology and the use of that technology has to be populated, and it has to be populated at the highest level. So once this is done, counterfeit obviously are the followers. They cannot become leader at any given point in time. They only go after the leaders. So it is actually imperative for brand owners as well as the industry people like us to make sure that whatever we adopt or adapt to is of the highest standard, whether it is selection of the supplier, selection of the technology, integration of the technology with the supply chain and the packing. Everything actually plays a role, and that is where the designing and the expertise in designing comes into picture. How well you design a solution is half the war won, because the technical expertise of the counterfeit is actually negligible in that area. They only copy, they only want to copy, but they are very poor, very poor in terms of technical know-how. They don't have the technical know-how, they don't have the technical expertise. It is just that they only survive on eating something which is easily available for them. So it is imperative for the brands and for the solution providers for like us to bring in new technologies to the market, adopt to the new technologies, adapt to the good practices. I think counterfeit will get defeated. They can win a battle here and there, but war is to be won by brands and the solution providers by like us only. That is the bottom line.
Now I'd like to ask some questions to Manojji. Yes. So, as a very integral part of Aspa, uh, you've been actually, I would say, in the middle of the war, trying to ensure that the counterfeiters don't win the war. I would just like to understand from you the current landscape and the challenges that are being faced as far as the supply chain is concerned.
Uh, I mean, if you're talking pharma specific here, so I'm going to try and focus my response to the pharma industry as I know it. Of course, we have experts from the industry. Mr. Jijo is here, who's very eloquently voiced the current issues facing, the current challenges facing the industry. So I'm going to take a bit of an outsider's view because I come from the authentication background. So how I think where the problem is, how my association has kind of done a lot of work also on this. So you know what we did was we partnered with CRISIL, okay, as part CRISIL partner, and we jointly did a report on the state of counterfeiting in the country. This was released I think last year. So we covered various geographies, we covered various industries, and obviously there were some startling findings there. The pharmaceutical industry specifically, people talk about 20% counterfeit. That's quite a significant number. 20% of the people actually said that they have experienced counterfeiting, which is a big number. And what makes them buy a counterfeit? You know, sometimes people actually knowingly buy the counterfeit. Why? Because it's cheaper primarily, and they can't afford the real thing. So the, the chemist or the retailer probably passes something on to them saying,
Manojji, just 1 second. If you can talk a little loudly,
"Oh, I'm not audible."
you are, but it's still low. So if you can talk a little bit more loudly.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I was talking about the Aspa Crystal report. Is this okay? Am I audible now?
Perfect.
Okay. So I was talking about the Aspa Crystal report where Aspa tied up with Crystal and we came out with a state of counterfeiting report for the country. And there the number that we discovered was about 20%. 20% people said that there is counterfeiting in pharmaceutical market, in the pharmaceutical products. And people at times even knowingly bought counterfeit because it is obviously much cheaper. So either the original was not available to them or they found this cheaper. Now, why is pharmaceutical so prone to counterfeiting? Again, from the ASPA perspective or from an outsider's perspective, a few pointers that I'd like to share. In the most of the pharmaceutical packaging, you really don't find a significant amount of authentication features. So I think that is a key feature because you have to raise the bar. You have to make it a little more difficult for the counterfeiter because unless you do that, and like I think Prashant was also mentioning before me, these are the low-hanging fruits which they go for. So raise the bar, put in something difficult for the would-be counterfeiter to achieve. That will make him move on to a unprotected brand. That will because he has no fancy to only duplicate maybe Alchem's products. If you find that Alchem's products are protected and they're throwing a challenge at him, he'll probably move on to another brand which is not as well protected. So that I think is the one aspect to look at. And secondly, the consumer also needs to be more vigilant. Because I mean, you can't really do much about people who want to buy a counterfeit find, but then there are most of the people actually want to buy the genuine, the real stuff, but they are unable to really tell between the real and the fake. So authentication features will help them. And then they also should be looking at the packaging. At times the packaging is something is misspelled, something looks damaged, something the color sometimes doesn't seem right. So a vigilant consumer would certainly help. And for that, we need to talk about creating awareness. There may be duplicates in the market, there may be fakes. Uh, in my experience now, which spans almost 3 decades in this business of providing authentication solutions, I've seen a phase where people were in denial mode. People as in brands, okay? Brands were actually in denial mode. Then they say, we have no counterfeiting issue. And, but inside they would tell you that, look, we have an issue, but we can't talk about it because, that might dent my consumer's confidence in me, okay? So, yes, there are those issues as well. But broadly, if you're talking about the overall landscape and the challenges, I think the greater the awareness, the more vigilant we make the consumer, and the more raise the bar in the packaging and the labeling. I think that's the key. That's the key really, and of course make the supply chain tight. And which again, both my colleagues on the panel have already spoken about it, because if your supply chain isn't tight, a lot of those spurious and duplicate drugs and pharmaceutical products actually enter through that, whether it's online, whether it's e-commerce, whether it is a big supply chain where again you need, the counterfeiter probably, gives it better price, significant price advantage to the retailer or the distributor to put the counterfeit into the supply chain. So that's of course another angle. Yeah.
Sorry. I wanted to ask you is what are the standard techniques and strategies that counterfeiters are currently employing?
I think uh, the counterfeiter is looking obviously at the low hanging fruits first, which is something that I mentioned. So and he is pretty well equipped in terms of the current printing and packaging technologies that are available. So lookalike packaging is their primary strategy that they adopt. Make something that looks so much alike the original. So we got to raise the bar to make it difficult for them there. Awareness is the big thing. Again, I'm kind of repeating myself, but then you know what, these are the key strategies that they adopt. They are playing on the consumer's lack of awareness, they are playing on the consumer's lack of vigilance, they are playing on the ease of maybe making a lookalike or a duplicate product. So that's their tech or strategy that they adopt, because they don't have to use any active pharmaceutical ingredients, like Giga was saying, right? Because their products could be chalk, calcium carbonate, whatever. They probably their only focus or the QC would be keep, some nobody should get really hurt or sick by having these counterfeit medicines, and then I'm okay. So they have absolutely no rules to play by. They have no taxes to pay. So they're all about you know the challenges or the tech about this. Just attack the brand the way it is, unless the brand protects and raises the bar.
So let me know how does Aspa contribute and what are the key initiatives and solutions that an association like you offers?
Okay, just a brief background about Aspa. Aspa as an association was called uh, Hologram Manufacturers Association of India. Now, way back in the 90s, hologram was this big technology that was able to fight counterfeit, that was able to protect a lot of products and documents. So, hologram was a big thing in those days. So, because this was a business that required a lot of ethics and a certain code of conduct, so the leading hologram producers in those days, we all got together. We formed this association called Hologram Manufacturers Association of India. We agreed to abide by a code of conduct because unless we are all people with ethical behavior, or we all followed a code of conduct, the entire industry would crash. We all realize that. So, point is, we wanted to vet the people who entered Humai as a member, their manufacturing facilities checked. They were. So we did a whole lot of, shall I say, due diligence in those days. And we still do, of course. But then we got together at the hologram producers and we called ourselves Homai way back in 1998. But sometime around 2014, then we realized that look, it's not just about hologram as a technology. We are not in the business of making security holograms. We are in the business of providing authentication solutions to our customers. And with that thought, we changed our name from HOMI to Aspa, which is Authentication Solution Providers Association. And we welcomed all other technologies also. We were happy to take any other security printing technology, and which gradually we even inducted the digital technologies such as traceability and track and trace, and non-clonable QR code and all those. So now ASPA provides a platform where all these industries, all these technologies come together and they thrive on a common platform where they work together, develop some really fabulous solutions. I mean, there are numerous instances of members working with each other to create something which has worked very well for the brand or the consumer. So that is absolutely great story. So currently we are 80 members, which is a pretty good number considering how niche this segment is. We run a lot of campaigns. I mean, basically we do a lot of awareness, we do a lot of advocacy, we do help in research and innovation. So ASPA conducts all this. We conduct studies. So we have this ASPA Crystal study that I spoke about, which gave a very good review on what is happening on ground in counterfeiting. We have a publication which we call the Authentication Times, which is published every 2 months generally. So that also goes on and talks about the various technologies that are available in this space and other interesting developments that are there. We have what is called Counterfeit News Repository, where we collect data that is reported in the media on a daily basis, and we share it, of course, within our membership and even outside. But more importantly, there is a website which is called counterfeitnewsrepository.com. So this data is actually parked there in a searchable content. So tomorrow, if you want to check, look how many issues were there, how many reported incidents were there of pharmaceutical counterfeiting, let's say in the year 2023, the calendar year 2023, and you want to know how many of them from Bihar, let's say, for argument's sake, you could actually run a search there. So and you could pick that information. So I mean, all these things put together, ASPA is quite a thought leader in the space now. We are doing a whole lot of activities and taking a lot of initiatives to put together data, share it with the companies, the brands, the public at large. And recently, we had a very interesting meeting with a CEO of a very large corporation, a pharma company. And there again, they of course want to know about the anti-counterfeiting solution, the authentication solution, and how does one fight the counterfeit. So it was a great conversation that we had with them that day, and we emphasized on creating awareness as ASPA. We feel the big advantage that brands can get is by creating awareness, making consumers aware. So we spoke to them about it, and we are very happy to see that that particular company is actually in media talking about the awareness creation, talking about how this problem needs to be addressed. So we engage with the regulator, we engage with industries, and that's a pretty much all round effort that ASPA takes.
A quick question to all three of you, because from a layman's perspective, I may see something from a very different angle. You people are the major stakeholders. So I'll start first with Manojji, and then Jijo can add in. Uh, you people mentioned that it's the major brands that would get impacted, but don't you think, as a counterfeiter, I would prefer to go in for the smaller companies because they may not have the kind of budget or want to go in for the know-how to ensure that counterfeiting does not happen.
See, the the smaller companies, they may not have the volume that's probably attractive enough. I mean, I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to where the competitors have. So the bigger companies probably would allow me better business proposition that I could have more to sell, which the market can absorb, as compared to a smaller brand, which may not be able to give me the volume I need. And so yeah, but the smaller brand, invariably the advantage is that their absolute expenditure is lower than a big brand. Because when I talk to Alchem, I go to Gijo and I say, look, Gijo has this wonderful technology, but it's going to cost you X per unit and therefore so many crores a year. Then obviously Gijo is going to look at his ROI, that am I going to be spending so many crores a year, and see what is the ROI on this, right? But a smaller company may actually, because their volume is lower, they in absolute terms they might be spending lower, so they might be willing to experiment a little more. But obviously, it's very subjective. It really depends on case to case.
Uh, Jijo, your thoughts?
Yeah,
You being the
I'll just
brand company.
I'll just add to what Manojji said. Look, the whole idea is a smaller companies today are of the size of 50 crores, 100 crores, or 200 crores. Whereas we are talking about brands. Example, I was talking about Pan, which is 800 to 1000 crore brand. Isn't it? When the brand is 800,000 crore and the tablet is costing you 10 rupees or 5 rupees, you can imagine the volumes. So you'd like to have means going behind a smaller company which have a brand, say the company is worth 100 crore, the biggest brand would be 15, 20 crores. There's no logic going behind because you cannot even identify where you will replace that particular brand in the market. Rather, when you go behind bigger brands, so that's why the smaller companies really won't face much threat. There are smaller companies where they have a single brand which is 70-80% of the company's volume. Such companies surely would have challenge of counterfeits. So it's not small or big company. It's basically the brands which are facing the threat. Uh, because at the end of the day, the guy who's trying to counterfeit is looking at how fast this product is moving. Uh, isn't it? So today, even for Parleji, there is counterfeiting. So these are fast-moving products. The smaller companies may not have fast-moving products. So fast-moving product, when you're consuming it fast, and as I said, in India, it's an acute market. So, example, antibiotics are popped up like sugar candy, or an antacid is popped up by a patient. When you go to West Bengal, where gastric problems are very common, our pantoprazole is one of the biggest brands there. Pan is one of the biggest brands. So when you stand at a chemist, you see a patient comes and asks for 2 tablets. So he just cuts the strips and give to the patient. Because he knows once a doctor have prescribed, he's just continuously buying. So in such fast moving goods where you need not to buy just 1 or 2 tablet or a whole strip, it's much easier. So rather, when it's a smaller brand, it's not easy for them to get into that game. So that's why smaller companies will not face such big problems, but rather bigger brands will face this problem because there you have a whole ground to play.
Okay. Prashant, one question to you. Uh, when do brands come to you? When they are hit by counterfeiting issues, or if they want to always remain one step ahead?
Okay, so okay, the answer to it is that brands generally don't come to us. We go to brands. That is something which is very obvious because this is our business. Yes, when we go and approach a brand, the first reaction of the brand is, do I really need it? So that is the first obvious question. I think Manojji has also mentioned it, that public acceptance of brand that they are getting counterfeited is was very low a few years back, but now brands themselves are talking about it. So it is like a truth. It is like a truth which is obvious, and after COVID it is much more obvious to everyone, because the kind of medicines people would have taken during COVID, they would not have taken in their lifetime. So the awareness at the consumer and the patient level has also gone up. Now, when we approach then what happens that brand obviously will ask whether I really need it, because sometimes we have seen that the data around it is missing, that how much and what percentage of this brand is getting counterfeited. Possibly the data is available, but obviously it is not supposed to be discussed outside. So that is the first defensive approach we get from the brand. Oh, am I really getting counterfeited? No, 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 no. Maybe 2 or 3% doesn't matter, kind of. So that is one first reaction which comes to uh, uh, solution providers like us. But when we delve more into this topic of how this is actually affecting their bottom line, obviously the top line also getting impacted, but bottom line is ultimately any commercial house will look at their bottom line first. So then there is a small amount of realization, then comes the live examples of how a consumer would have seen it from a perspective, that when they take a and that realization is there because Gijo, he has already acknowledged it, that there is a realization that the counterfeit will always go after the bigger brands in the market, because a 2% of counterfeit for him is good enough, right? But for pan, it is 98% counter. It's pure, and 2% is only getting counterfeit. So it is actually serving the counterfeiters purpose more than harming pan, relatively. So, but why this 2% even? Because 800 crore worth of brand, 2% is something, isn't it? So now coming to this aspect where the brand accepts or don't accept, brands do accept that yes, if there is a counterfeit, they do accept this, and then we work along with the brand owners to see how this is happening, from which point it is happening, what are the pain areas, what are the loopholes which are to be plugged, and that is where the designing of a solution comes into picture, which I have already mentioned in my previous this thing, that we work along with the brand on the designing of the solution instead of offering something vanilla in nature. Oh, you are facing this counterfeit, okay, go ahead with this. It's not like a selling a OTC product. It is a technical product. It requires a lot of technical understanding of the subject, and then getting into what it will be like on the face of it, and when it is getting sold to the consumer, how they will relate to the brand or the pack before they buy a genuine one. So there is a designing aspect of the solution which normally gets missed out when people discuss on the anti counterfeiting solutions.
Jijo, one question to you. Uh, like, I'm from a market research industry. Initially, we had the brand managers and the marketing guys looking into research. Then slowly, people started having their own market research departments. Do brands now have their own department or designated people for counterfeiting solutions?
Right now, when you look at the brand manager and the packaging team is a custodian for the same. Parallelly, in supply chain, we make other people, but right now there's no structure or people dedicated for it. So to be precise, it's not like look once hit we as over last 15 years, I can see in last 4 5 years and post COVID, uh, the counterfeiting issue is coming up very big. So I think so. Right now, there's no structure, but there are at least custodians to it who are looking after it and making sure that even to an extent, even the legal teams are involved to make sure how we are solving this. But there's no what you call dedicated people to work on it. It's more or less a shared responsibility between the brand custodian, the marketing manager, and the packaging team, along with the supply chain team or the distribution team.
So has government kept any kind of rules regulations with respect to ensuring that only genuine products are doled out to the pharmacies or to the end consumers?
No, nothing like that. Government right now, when you look at every state have its own state FD approvals and based on which. So that's why when you look at today, why do even a counterfeit come into the market? Because of lack of regulations in many of these. When you look at lack of regulations is a key thing because each states have its own rule, its own way of permitting a company to make a drug. So that's why then you find a lot of counterfeit also because people find way out to make these counterfeit. So that's today that's the status. I think so. Manojji was trying to say something.
Yeah, interesting question, Alvin. Yeah. Uh, what I have seen recently, now see when I completely agree with Jiro when he says that we have the packaging team, a bit of packaging, a bit of legal, a bit of supply chain. I mean, these people. I have seen these departments being involved when it comes to talking about counterfeit and but in some companies, I've actually seen uh, brand protection department or brand protection managers also. That trend is coming in. I've actually seen that with some very large corporations in the country. Uh, I think it's a matter of time before it kind of percolates to the relatively smaller companies also, because everybody now realizes the value of a brand, and when a brand equity is affected by counterfeit, the kind of loss that it does to a company image and only the revenue. I'm not getting into the other aspects of counterfeiting, but if I just focus on the company top line and bottom line, even that is huge. So I think the trend is clearly there. People are big companies are talking about having a brand protection team in place to make sure that that brand integrity is intact.
And Manoj, just to add, there are even companies investing in trying to learn from industry partners and invest in how to prevent counterfeit because it surely affects, as you said, both top line and bottom line of the company. So,
Absolutely.
so company have started, and particularly you find packaging department upskilling themselves to make sure that newer technologies can be adopted so that this can really be because this it's not necessarily the counterfeit is happening in a metro. It may happen somewhere in a rural town where uh, means it's not how simple it looks. In a metro, people are buying counterfeit medicine. It can be reverse also. In a rural belt, people are a whole state or a whole district. People may be buying counterfeit medicine.
Oh, absolutely. This is so important to upskill the packaging team, the packaging professionals. So I have the privilege of also being on the governing body of Indian Institute of Packaging. So we are trying to work together, Aspa and IRP, to find some common ground where we can share the Aspa expertise within the IRP community to upskill them regarding the authentication technologies. So even that process is on at Aspa level.
Okay.
Uh,
That is-
I've just got a one idea out of this conversation between Manojji and Jijo. Uh, when we talk about packaging development, Jijo, I think I really want you to answer or maybe react to it. When any brand or any packaging team is designing a packing or packaging for a brand, uh, whether the anti-counterfeiting should become a by default should become a part of that designing of packaging. If that happens, then obviously the onus or the ownership will get transferred by default to the packaging team, and their learning will also improve, and maybe they can make a huge difference there if that becomes a part of the whole KRA. Sorry, but
No, no,
uh,
very,
that
very
is
rightly put down. I think so rather it's a so when you today see the challenges with counterfeit, as I said, is for big brands, and these big brands are really old brands. These are in the market from last 15 years, 20 years. That's why they are big brands.
legacy.
That's why they're, so. That's where companies now, it's rather than proactive, they are now reacting to the counterfeit. But the learning from there, the companies typically, when you look at Alchem or typically the previous 2 3 companies where I have worked, they are now proactive in terms of newer products which are launched, that they should not be tampered. I work in inhalation category where it's not tampering, it's rather counterfeiting. Patient play with the product, they will the devices which are there, and they come back and they say that the device is not working, they've tampered with it. So now what are companies doing? It's proactive and making sure that in the development phase itself they are putting in things, at least from the packaging point of view, from technology point of view, putting things in place so that the counterfeit and the tampering cannot happen. uh, but those still are.
But they do need a budget. They do need a budget for it. Rijo, that is where you would agree that they do need a budget for having this thing, considered.
So typically, look, when it's a chronic segment, and today India, as I said, these all old brands, when you typically look at the Indian market, are in the acute category. There are chronic brands also which are big. Uh, so the newer products which are coming in are all, majority of them are in the chronic category where the cost of therapy is on a higher side. So people are ready to pay, the brand manager, the brand owner, the company is ready to invest in the packaging because look, I look at it from a point of view when I see as a brand custodian or someone who's launching a new product. These measures give me an upper hand in the clinic to tell a doctor that my product is tamper proof, my product is counterfeit proof. So the doctor have more confidence. So that's why today, as I said, for newer brands, it's not the budget, it's rather it's a differentiating point because we are in a branded generic market. So that's why the pharma is thinking from that angle to make sure that we are solving for counterfeit and tampering, because it gives you an upper hand in the doctor's chamber. But look, still there are new products which are launched which are very economical. That's why I said companies like ASPA or should pharma should collaborate so that we uh, customized solution with which are there, which can help counterfeiting in the bigger brands which are where the unit price is very small. So that's where collaborations need to come in and we can play together to make sure we solve that problem.
Gentlemen, I quickly come back to you within a few minutes asking a few more questions. But I would just now like to acknowledge the sponsor for this webinar, Shriram Veritech, which is a leader for 30 years in advanced solutions to combat counterfeiting, optimizing packaging and labeling, and ensuring supply chain security. It is a part of the DCM Shriram Group, a 3 billion conglomerate. Veritech is also the full founding member of Aspa. Veritech offers bespoke products like holograms, transfer foils, security labels, tamper seals, Vari OVDs utilizing nano optics, shrink sleeves, aluminum foil packaging, and intelligent labels with 20 plus security features. Digital solutions under the umbrella of Veritech Plus secures every link in the supply chain, like product authentication, track and trace, customer engagement, and warehouse management needs. Technologically advanced and certified, Veritech serves more than 3,500 global brands in over 50 countries. So let us take a glimpse into the world of Shriram Veritech through an introductory video.
Welcome to the world of Shri Ram Veritech, a globally renowned leader, empowering brands for the last 30 years. Veritech's lineage can be traced back to the DCM Shri Ram Group, one of India's largest and most respected business conglomerates. With more than $3 billion top line, Veritech offers a full range of solutions in brand security, packaging, and digital domains. Veritech's cutting-edge products in security solutions include holograms, transfer foils, security labels, tamper seals, Vari OVDs utilizing nano optics technology and related goods. Veritech offers a comprehensive range of packaging solutions such as shrink sleeves, aluminium foil packaging, intelligent labels with more than 20 security features and more. The digital solutions under the umbrella of Veritech Plus empower brands for their digital authentication, product track and trace, customer engagement, and warehouse management needs. Shri Ram Veritech employs the top-end machinery from the best manufacturers in the world: 4Pico, Diavi, Monotech, ABG, Bobst, Nilpeter, Valco Milton, AVT, Isra Vision, and many more. Setting the benchmark for excellence through ISO compliances, prestigious certifications, and global affiliations, Veritech leads the way. Veritech's dedicated team of 250 members consistently delivers exceptional customer experiences, earning the trust of over 3,500 global brands in 50 plus countries. Their vast network of 150 plus international partners further enhance their reach. Join this league of global names and safeguard your brand with Shri Ram Veritech today.
Well, now returning back to the core theme of this webinar, it resonates very deeply with Shriram Veritech's mission as a leading provider of robust solutions within this sector. In an era where the pharmaceutical industry serves as a beacon of hope for humanity, ensuring the integrity of the supply chain is paramount. So what happens? It's imperative that stakeholders in this ecosystem join forces to combat this menace. To address these challenges, Shriram Veritech's specialized division Veritech Plus offers comprehensive approach to bolster supply chain security and integrity for its clients, leveraging serialization, parent-child packaging hierarchies, track and trace capabilities, and consumer authentication solutions. To gain a deeper insight into how Veritech accomplishes this, we invite you to explore the detailed presentation. If you will just look at the presentation, please.
The unique identification or UID code lies at the core of Veritech's track and trace system. Generated using complex algorithms, it has the capability to generate trillions of unique IDs in one go. These UIDs are then uploaded onto the client's secure server. At the production line, the UIDs are converted into encrypted QR codes and printed on the primary packaging of the product. After printing, multiple primary packs are scanned together using a fixed mount camera and placed in the secondary packaging. The scanned data is synchronized with the server, and the information is used to generate a label for the secondary pack. The barcode on the secondary label is then scanned using a handheld scanner, and the secondary packs are aggregated into the tertiary packaging or shipper box. Using the scanned data, a shipper label is generated for the tertiary pack. After applying the label, the shipper box is transferred to the FG store. With Veritech's track and trace system in place, the movement of each and every product can now be traced throughout the supply chain. The routing of material to various distributors and stockists is done through the web interface, and the shipper box information gets mapped with each invoice. Field personnel can obtain the routing history by scanning the UID QR code with the help of a closed user group app. The end users are also at an advantage. By scanning the QR code using the Veritech Plus or any other generic app, the end users can verify the authenticity of the product. Veritech Plus also offers a host of additional value-added services to enhance consumer engagement with the brand. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for the sponsors. Now coming back to our questions, some questions, quick questions from the viewers, which I would like you people to address. So one question to Jijo. Uh, Being a healthcare professional, what are our roles and responsibilities in counterfeiting?
So the primary responsibility first to make develop a robust packaging, which where counterfeiting cannot happen. But bigger than that is to make sure we are educating different stakeholders, starting from the doctor to the patient to the chemist, who are involved in dispensing of the product to the patient. So that becomes very important thing, particularly the doctors. Many times we tell the doctor benefits about the product, but we don't tell him that how to differentiate between a counterfeit. To a chemist, where in India 70%, when you stand at a chemist, you'll find 50-60% of the patients who are coming, they're just coming with a problem without a prescription to get a solution, get a medicine from the pharmacist. So there, particularly in a branded generic market, he should be educated that how to identify counterfeit, because he's one of the biggest victims there. So educating all stakeholders and making sure, uh, putting a bit more of money developing better packaging which is counterfeit proof, that would help us.
Okay. And with the rise on in online pharmacies,
I saw
uh,
that question. Yes.
so if you can answer that, that would be great.
That's one of the biggest problems. Look, online, it's not only online pharmacy. When you go to Amazon, Flipkart, when you today buy, you parallelly get counterfeit goods there also. So that's something where regulations need to come in, to make sure that the online pharmacies are responsible for, because look, they work. It's not it's a platform through which even means they need to come under the regulatory bodies to make sure that they are also responsible for supplying the counterfeit product to the patient. So I would only say that it's today a very open-ended thing. That's all.
Uh, Manoji, what role does collaboration between stakeholders play in preventing counterfeiting?
Uh, you see, I think when you're trying to address a counterfeit, excuse me, when you're trying to address a counterfeit problem, you're trying to find a solution to it. So there's several stakeholders. The brand obviously being one, and then you have the service provider, and together, these two stakeholders must first identify the problem. Exactly what is the nature of counterfeiting? What is the is there a geographical area where this problem is happening? Is it because the printing is getting counterfeited? Is it because, or is it just a tampering issue, or is it a product diversion? So all these things have to be looked at in greater details together with the brand. The solution provider typically then designs a particular solution, and there's no point just packing a solution with multiple technologies. I mean, okay, multiple technologies, yes, but not multiple, so many features so that it confuses the end user, or the brand team in itself. So they have to be, yes, features from multiple technologies, but pointed features that are easy to verify. So that is important. So in this context, I think I would also like to refer to an ISO standard, which is ISO 22383. This is a standard which is devised by ISO to recommend a set of processes and guidelines on how to design and implement an effective brand protection or anti-counterfeit solution, and how to measure the performance thereof. So it's not like ISO 9001 that you can where you can get certified. It's more of an advisory in nature, and that gives some very good insights. I'll just repeat for the minute those who want to take it down. It's ISO 22383.
Uh, we have been having a very healthy discussion, a lot of insights which we have derived from today's webinar. Manojji, I would request you once again to give a little overview on the current state of counterfeiting in pharmaceutical industry. If you can please give an
Uh,
overview of post our discussion so far.
okay. I think we have.
We lost his voice.
Hello, audible?
Yeah, now you're audible. Yes.
Okay. So I think we definitely have a problem on our hands as we've been discussing, and this is something that has been rising. But I don't think we don't need to be very negative about this. This is a challenge that can be met and met successfully. There is the technology for sure. There are several authentication technologies that can help these brands identify the consumers. Phygital, is one technology. See, what is phygital? When you have a physical security feature and a digital, so technologies are coming together to really fight the counterfeit problem. So you have a QR code. I mean, the government recently mandated that top 300 brands in the country must have a QR code. So that coupled with the physical features is, and I think, and the number of companies that are currently talking about, the number of pharma companies I met who are currently talking about this problem, they're not shying away, which is a good thing, and they're actually in discussion with a lot of Aspa members to really look at how that they can arrest it. They may have their own challenges in terms of logistics, in terms of pricing, etc., etc. But then that definitely there is a will that I see in the pharma industry to take on this problem head on and make sure that the consumers are protected against the ills of this menace. So overall, I think the step is in the right direction. We do have a problem, but then I think all the stakeholders are working together to fight that.
For the viewers, I'm going to have a short video
Yeah, I
on.
was about to say that. Yeah. So this is a short video from.
The Indian pharmaceutical industry is the backbone of the nation's healthcare sector, earning global acclaim for its formidable presence and invaluable contributions. With a steadfast commitment to producing high-quality, affordable medicines, it fuels the nation's health infrastructure and serves as a vital global supplier, meeting the healthcare needs of diverse populations worldwide. However, amidst its achievements, a growing concern looms in the shadows: counterfeiting. In the pharmaceutical realm, where India proudly holds the third position globally by volume and 14th by value, it is increasingly marching towards a predominant position in the world pharma supply chain, emerging as the pharmacy to the world. However, counterfeiting poses a significant challenge, accounting for 20 to 25% of the market. Valued at 3,136 billion rupees in 2021, the sector faces infiltration by counterfeit. The Indian pharmaceutical industry, valued at $50 billion in 2023, is projected to touch $130 billion by 2030. The Aspa and CRISIL report shows that counterfeiting in the market is higher than industry expectations, estimated at 25 to 30% by consumer surveys. Counterfeit drugs pose serious risks to public health and erodes trust in the healthcare system. Supply shortages, high costs, and demand-supply gaps fuel counterfeiting. Aspa and CRISIL surveys show 25% of consumers choose counterfeit drugs to affordability and availability issues, endangering public health and trust in healthcare. Technological innovations are vital in countering counterfeiting. Optically variable devices, or OVDs, like holograms and nanotechnology in nano inks, coatings and tags deter replication. Digital technologies such as RFID, NFC, and track and trace provide serialized codes for authentication, boosting transparency and thwarting counterfeiters. Empowering consumers becomes pivotal with user-friendly authentication methods, and awareness campaigns dissuade purchases of counterfeit goods. Brands integrate authentication features into marketing, creating a united front against counterfeiting. Despite setbacks during the COVID-19 pandemic, The pharmaceutical industry rebounded, showcasing resilience. Expectations for higher growth rates in specific regions underscore the positive trajectory of the pharmaceuticals anti-counterfeiting technologies market. Aspa and its members are dedicated to eradicating pharmaceutical counterfeiting. Join us in securing a future where every pharma product is genuine, ensuring trust and well-being prevail. Together, let us build a counterfeit-free tomorrow.
Thank you, Manoj ji.
Thank you.
Now, before we close down today, after a very fruitful session, one line from both Prashant and Jijo, and finally from Manoj ji. One quick one-liners from each of you.
No, first of all, it was a thanks everyone. Thanks Prashantji. Thanks Manoj for this fruitful discussion. I also have learned that what's happening on the other side of the table to make sure that how pharma can be enabled to fight the counterfeit better. So thanks a lot for arranging this webinar, and thanks. I was reading a lot many questions around it from students, from people who are in the pharma market. So I'll try. We can the panel can try to answer it on the LinkedIn where the video is posted. But thanks a lot for everyone who have attended also.
Thank you, Alvin. Thanks, Jijo. Yeah, in fact, quite insightful from brand's perspective. I could see willingness in brand uh, to invest in this area, and it's really heartening to see that we are talking more about it. We are talking more about counterfeits. We are talking more about anti-counterfeiting solutions, technologies which are available in the world market, and obviously we look forward to work with uh, every stakeholder in the society or in business to provide a meaningful and very strong solutions at a competitive commercials, because I think India is a country where these two things actually does matter. So we look forward to joining hands with all the stakeholders and providing the appropriate solutions. Thank you very much.
Last one-liner from Mr. Manoj.
Yes, I think this is interactions such as what we just had is the need of the hour, because you see this counterfeiting in all the sectors. We all know that it spans industries across geographies. But pharmaceutical, by virtue of just what it can do to the well-being of people, is so critical. The downside of pharmaceutical counterfeiting is really huge, is really significant. So I think a dialogue such as this is the need of the hour. It's very heartening to see that the various stakeholders are coming together to fight this menace, and I'm sure it's a matter of time before this is really brought under control. So thank you everyone for your time, and good luck in all your endeavors to fight counterfeiting, whether you're a brand or a solution provider or a consumer, most important. All the best.
So finally, we are coming to an end. I would like to thank the sponsors. I would like to thank the panelists. And most of all, I would like to thank all the viewers who took part to have and be a part of this discussion. Thank you all so much. Until then, Jai Hind.
Thank you very much.